Hi everybody, it is Ayelet. Good morning. Sorry, I'm just fiddling around with a few of these props that I wanted to show you today. Let's see, I wanted to put me up here and just chat today. So welcome. I am hoping that a few of you will come and join. It's so nice to be here on a Friday. It's a nice Friday morning, mid-December. I cannot believe that it is officially mid-December. It is December 15th. That means it is totally official. I hope you guys are all having really nice mornings or afternoons or evenings, depending on where you are. Welcome. It's so nice to have you guys here. So let me just get acquainted. Hello, I see someone is here. It is great to have you. If you will just say hello, maybe write in the comments section below that your name, who you are, if you have any questions specifically for me, because we're just gonna sort of chat. I have a few things to share with you that I want to sort of tell you about. But if you have something that you have a burning question about or just want to know about, I'd love to hear from you. So go ahead and introduce yourself in the comments section below. Let me know who's here, where you are, where you're tuning in from, how old your baby is, whether you work with children. Yeah, I'm excited to hear from you. So let me just to get started, I just want to tell you a little bit about sort of my story. I'm Ayelet Marinovich. I have started a while back, 2 years ago, something called Strength in Words, which is a website and resource online. But again, I just want to sort of introduce myself and give you some background. But before we get started, please do introduce yourself too. If you let me know who's here, what your name is. Oh, I see somebody's commenting. Gosh, this is so frustrating. Hello, Fiona, and your 8.5-month-old baby. So exciting. So nice to have you. Hang on. It looks like I have 2 comments, but I can only see 1. I hate that. Anyway, Fiona, it's nice to have you and to see you. So anyway, okay, so a bit about my story. My husband and I moved abroad when I was 10 weeks pregnant with my first baby. And we were Highbrook. We were thousands of miles from, anything or anyone familiar. And then we became parents. So hooray. Hi, Rena. Nice to see you. So as my baby grew, once he was born, as he grew, I really craved, a place and a community where I could access, developmentally based information paired with simple and practical ideas, right? Because we can all get developmental information, maybe, from our pediatrician or a doctor or, from Google, God forbid. But when we have that, real understanding of actually how to use that information, how to put it to use, that's where the magic happens, right? That's what we actually want to know, because that's how we can actually use information. So I wanted that information paired with simple and practical ideas that I could actually apply to those, precious actual little moments that I have to dedicate to my little one. So I was yearning for a place where I could easily, pick and choose information that spoke to my desire to learn about how my child learns. So And I see that, in sort of direct opposition to, this divisive and prescriptive and overwhelming world of content that we are being sort of constantly fed these days. So I wanted to access, developmentally appropriate information and ideas that I could use right away. And I wanted that to be from a reputable source. So since I couldn't find anything readily, I made something. So I don't know. Hi, Leah. So nice to see you. basically what I did was I started to create sort of my own curriculum based on my own background as a pediatric speech language pathologist. And when my baby was about 3 months old, I started meeting with other young families with young children for regular sessions that included music and play and sort of a discussion about, what our little ones were doing developmentally. And it was a really, special opportunity to just engage in dedicated time to learning about our babies and sort of dedicated self-care also, where we got to chat and spend time with others who were also going through the same crazy time, right? So here's what happened. In this place, far from my own home and culture, families from all over the world started coming to these sessions. And, I was just sort of creating exactly the resources to which I wanted access, and I was finding that other people found it valuable as well. And that was really reaffirming, right? So that's when those resources on strength in words were really born. So I started creating a virtual version of what I was doing through the podcast, the blog, and now through these online music classes and live Q&A workshops and virtual parent support groups and community that you can all access in sort of both the website and the community lab. So anyway, today I have a few things that I want to share with you, but I also want to make sure that if you have questions, specific questions, burning questions about your child's development, about something you're struggling with, that we address, any of those that we can. So you are welcome to go ahead and type anything, in these comments, and I will get to as many of them as I can if you have questions or concerns or comments. And just a sort of disclaimer, I'm a speech language pathologist. I'm a mom, I'm a professional. I cannot offer, medical advice or developmental advice specifically, but I can offer resources and support. So, that said, please go ahead and, ask any questions, and I'm happy to, point you in any direction that I can. So, the goal, of course, today is to share and to sort of pool all of our resources. I know I have a few, SLPs here as well. Leah, if you're sticking around, I'm sure you can chime in too. But basically, I want to familiarize you with the kind of resources that I offer through Strength in Words. Hi, Tanya. And I also want to invite you to join that Strength in Words Community Lab, where you can access all of those resources that I was mentioning, right? Music classes and support groups and workshops all online. And I want to tell you about that specifically right now because prices are actually going to be going up on December 21st. So now is an amazing time to lock in that membership as sort of a founding member where you can help to really shape what's happening and a community that means something to you. So that said, okay, so some favorite materials to support infant and toddler development. So I want to talk about, just simple ways that we can play and connect. So when I am looking at, hi Emma, nice to see you. When I am sort of thinking about breaking down those kinds of experiences that I try to offer both my own children, I have an 11-month-old infant and a nearly 4-year-old. I can't call him a toddler anymore. He is toddlerish, and yet he is a big boy. Oh my gosh, it's crazy. But basically, when I try to break down those experiences that I try to offer my own children, as well as the clients I work with as a speech language pathologist and as a parent educator, because I do a lot of one-on-one work with families as well, I feel like a lot of these sort of fall into the categories of, music, early literacy, sensory, and then sort of the use of visual supports, right? Because we know that young children learn best when they have, an immediate context of what's happening right around them, right? So visuals, whether that's just holding up, 2 clothing items for an infant or a young toddler and, saying, which one do you want to wear? Or a picture of something, or two animal toys, or two cars to a toddler, and which one should I be and which one should you be, right? Young children learn through direct access to what's happening right in front of them, right? So when we think about these sort of specific visuals, specific, early literacy experiences, and I think oftentimes we hear that word early literacy and we could jump immediately to, oh yeah, right, I'm supposed to be reading to my child. Well, guess what? There are lots of ways that you can engage in early literacy experiences with your infant or toddler that look nothing like sitting, your child on your lap and reading to them and making sure that they are attending, right? We know that young children have very limited attention spans, right? So there are like 6 pre-reading skills that your child can start to learn and engage in really from birth. And to make reading and print fun, right? So one of those things is like print motivation, being interested in simply enjoying books. And for some children at some developmental levels, that looks like mouthing a book, right? It doesn't have to look like sitting there and reading, right? We have to it's so hard to get out of our adult conceptions of what these terms mean and remember that it's not about, this linear progression of, right, I have to sit. If I read to my child, he will learn to read, right? It's also about, my experience reading with my child is going to look very different at different ages, and A plus B does not equal C. Books are not necessarily just for reading. Blocks are not necessarily just for stacking or building, right? Books are for mouthing. Books are for just looking at the pictures, just taking sort of a picture walk. Really books and other print materials, right? Because early literacy experiences are not just books. They include also any print in the area. So if you have alphabet blocks and you're, playing around and your child is mouthing those alphabet blocks, you're also engaging in early literacy experiences. Fiona says, that's great. My little one loves to eat books, so it's getting worried, right? No, that is not something to worry about. As parents, we have plenty to worry about. Take the pressure off. That's not one of those things. But, things like letter knowledge and, narrative skills, how to tell a story, right? We are telling stories to our children constantly when we are talking through events, when we are talking through caregiving routines, right? Oh, here we go. First, we're going to sit down and, take off your pants so that we can change your diaper, right? Brooke says, my little one loves to flip through books from back to front. Yeah, so that's fine, right? I mean, simply the act of turning pages is actually a wonderful thing to get your child engaged in. That is engaging in early literacy experiences. That's wonderful. Obviously, they will learn that in English, for instance, books go from front to back. But actually, in some languages, Hebrew, for instance, books read from back to front. So even exposing a young toddler to that is really valuable, and just talking about those things, right? So that's sort of one of those things. Now, I said also music, right? If you have watched or listened to or seen anything from Strength in Words, you know how much I value musical experiences, and I try to infuse everything, everything that I can with music. And I have my latest podcast episode with wonderful music therapist Meryl Brown, who talks all about tips to use music to engage early development and engage infants and toddlers. And it's wonderful. And I encourage you all to go and listen to that episode, which is just fantastic. But also, we forget that, again, to get out of that sort of linear, books are for reading, songs are for singing, right? We can learn a song and sing a song, and we don't have to remember the words. We can substitute all of the words for our baby's name. We can take out all the words. We can not sing the melody and instead just tap to the beat and say the words, right? That's what nursery rhymes are. And those are still musical experiences because there's a built-in rhythm, right? It is a rhythmic, there's a meter, right? Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall, right? These things are metered. That's tempo, that's rhythm. You are providing a musical experience for your child when you are reading nursery rhymes. That's so cool. So recognizing how much we're already doing, right, is I think one of the big things that I try to bring to my work with Strength in Words, and really helping people understand that, it doesn't take a lot of stuff. It's not about, being able to, I know, Brooke, you and I have chatted a lot about that book, 30 Million Words, which is all about sort of this, the gap that exists between, when we engage in these experiences with our children and when we don't. And it's all about just providing simple experiences for our little ones. So let's see. Another thing that we can talk about is sensory experiences. And I'm about to release my next podcast episode, which is an interview with Jill Loftus of Honest Occupational Therapy. And she's a pediatric occupational therapist and talked all about sensory processing and tips to meet our sensory needs of our infants and toddlers. And that is about to be released later today. Preview, so exciting. And I have a chance to, sit down with her and talk with all of the guests on my podcast, and I bring them onto the community lab for like a live workshop. And then all of those members get to ask all of these amazing professionals their questions directly, which is amazing. So one of the things that Jill talked about and talks about in the podcast episode, Stephanie, yeah, me too. I can't wait for you to hear it, and you'll have to tell me what you think. One of the things she talks about is, we were sort of taught to believe that we have 5 senses. Now, yes, we have 5 senses, but we also have these 3 additional senses, which really inform what our body is taking in at any moment. And how our body is responding to the outside world, which is what sensory information is, right? I think a lot of times, we get stuck in that, like, looking at like Pinterest, right? You've got like, sensory bins, sensory bottles, sensory blah, 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 right? And I think it's really easy for us to get stuck on understanding and conceptualizing sensory activities as that tactile stuff, like a sensory bin with beans and, water beads or whatever. And yes, that is super, super useful and wonderful to expose your child to, but that's not the only kind of sensory experience we can give our children, right? What other things can we think about when we're providing sensory experiences? Well, visual experiences, auditory experiences, tactile, certainly, but also movement experiences. Things like moving around or pushing on things and really engaging our muscles. And when you start to realize like, oh, right, even, gustatory or taste experiences are sensory experiences. And when we start to think like, oh, right, that's all sensory experience, everything is a sensory experience, right? Bubbles, yes, bubbles are a wonderful sensory experience. And bubbles can be used so beautifully with any age, right? We think about it as like, oh, well, again, back to that linear, like a bubble. To play with bubbles with my young child, I must put in the wand, blow the bubble, and then, oh, it's going to be messy. My toddler's going to want to play with it. They're going to want to grab it, right? Oh, an infant, how can they play with bubbles? Of course they can. It's just a matter of meeting them at that level. So even think about like a teeny tiny infant who's just starting to see, you know, from like this distance, and maybe as an infant who's just about starting to sort of reach and grasp, say around the 3-4 month mark. Excuse me. Imagine taking your bubble wand, putting your bubble out there and just blowing strong enough so that that bubble stops, right? And is like a big bubble on the end of the wand. How can I explain this more clearly? But then putting it just out of your child's reach so that he has or she has to reach for it and pop. Wow. Like, to teach your child that they can actually pop it and they have that control over something, like they can engage with their world, even for like a 4-month-old who is barely able to do anything. Like, what an amazing gift to give that child. How exciting. So we can think about all of these little things, and it's all about meeting them where they are, right? So that is sort of what I want to give to you, is this understanding that we're always providing experiences for our children. We can fuse every day and every moment with very simple things. And I think it's very easy for us as parents to feel like I'm not giving my child enough. I'm not there, right? We're working parents. We're not around. How can I maximize those like teeny tiny in-between moments with like stuff that they're going to want to do? And of course, it's going to be very, very difficult to do that and to feel confident and empowered and connected to your child when you have limited time. So that is what I am trying to provide, is that number one, the confidence that you can do that, because really it takes 5 minutes, right? When we bring in our day with these little moments of things that are super simple. Hi, Squashy Romeo. What a great name. I love that Facebook name. When we do that with our children, we provide them with the things that they need. So I want to just tell you too, like I have this weekly sort of email sequence that provides you, based on your child's age, with simple ways to play and connect with your infant and toddler. And you tell me whether you're expecting an infant, whether you have a 0 to 6 month old, a 6 to 12 month old, and so on and so forth up through age 3. And then I send you a weekly email about what, you know, a few, say a sensory experience or a musical experience or a visual kind of support that you might use, or an early literacy experience that is appropriate for your child's age. So the link to that is just there, that SI Strengthen Words Weekly, and it's just bit.ly/SIW-weekly, and that's all over my website too. But then, hi Rebecca, so nice to see you. But then if you're interested in sort of going deeper with me and having access to all of those things, you can check out that community lab, which is just community.strengthenwords.com. Squashy, how to access the live session. I'm not sure what you're referring to. I have live, music sessions that I lead within the community lab, and you're welcome to come and take a 1-week trial of that. You don't pay anything for the first week, and then you can cancel if you don't want to. But yeah, we've got developmental music classes, we've got live Q&A sessions, and when you join the community lab, you have access to all of those things. And it's like a ridiculous price right now. And if you join before next Thursday, a week from Thursday, like I want people in there, which is why I have it at such a low price right now. But I just want to give you guys the good stuff. Anyway, okay, so let's keep going. I wanted to cover a few songs to sing during caregiving and play routines. Does anyone have any songs that they like to sing, or that their children love it when they sing? Sorry, you can hear my baby screaming in the background. He's not very happy right now. Yeah, so if you have any songs that you like to sing, let me know. What are those? Two of the songs that I love singing are that I find just are like super easy and malleable, I guess you could say, are Skip to My Lou and Wheels on the Bus, just as sort of an example. So, how to use songs every day. So I use songs all day long during caregiving routines, during play routines. Stephanie says right now we're all about Christmas songs. Oh my gosh, I know. My big boy loves Jingle Bells, and then at his preschool, another class came in and sang Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. And so he's been like completely obsessed with learning that. It's so cute. And as a person who like during his first 2 years, I was leading these music classes, and he with me was with me every time I led them, sometimes, 1 or 2 or 3 times a week. And this is a child who like up until now has never like sung in his life. But finally I'm like reaping the benefits. So just so you know, like it's coming, right? Everything that we put in from the very, very early age, it comes back to us. Oh, good. Rebecca says 10 Little Fingers. Yes, I love that one. Thank you. I'm glad. Oh, Eldon loves it. And then Fiona says that Ebba loves the Little Bunnies. Sleeping Till Noon. Oh my gosh. Yes, my big boy loves that one too. And every time after we get out of a bath, we use that song. He like crouches down in his little hooded towel. And then we do Sleeping Bunnies or Sleeping Dinosaurs, or he gets to choose, what animal is sleeping, and then he acts it out, which is very cute. But yeah, so we sing songs during caregiving routines and play routines. Rena says, I'd love to learn a Christmas song. Oh, good. Well, maybe we can teach you a Christmas song today, Rena. Does anyone have a favorite Christmas song that they like to sing? So I'm just going to keep talking about how we use music, to help our children attend to things, to distract them from, less interesting or less preferred activities. And then just, of course, just for interaction, just during play. So, again, back to that, A plus B does not necessarily equal C. We don't have to remember the words all the time. We can change the words, right? Free yourself. Words can be about people. The words can then become about objects or experiences in context and in the environment. Leah says Wheels on the Bus and Itsy Bitsy Spider. Yes, great. And Brooke says something about the Christmas tree, since that's all she cares about. Yes, oh my gosh. Tell me about it. It's so hard. We have our tree. My family, I grew up Jewish, but also celebrating Christmas. That's my own personal background, but so we've always had a tree. Sometimes we laugh and call it a Hanukkah bush, but basically we have all the ornaments above grasping distance from my 11-month-old, who so far we've been just able to distract him, but I can tell that that's about to change. Of course. So we can substitute words for things, right? For actions and people and what the characters in the songs are doing. So, all right. So let's take say, Skip to My Lou, and simply just like substitute the actions, right? And I just want to give you examples of like how we can use that in play routines or caregiving routines. So like in an eating routine, because Brooke, I know this is something that you've asked me about in the past. Does everyone know that song, Skip to My Lou, right? Skip, skip, skip to my Lou, skip, skip, skip to my Lou, skip, skip, skip to my Lou, skip to my Lou, my darling, right? Okay, so we can just scrap those words, because who knows what to my Lou means, right? Does that mean to the loo, to the toilet? I mean, it could be if we wanted to make it into a routine about going to the toilet to helping your child like get excited about going and using the potty, like sure, you can make it about that. But we can also make it about, say we're sitting at the table and we're saying, eat, eat, eating with my baby, eat, eat, eating with my baby, eat, eat, eating with my baby today. And then you can pause and look at the things on the plate, right? Ooh, which one are we going to eat? Are we going to eat the soft carrot, or are we going to eat the fruit, the piece of plum? What do you think? And then if your baby or toddler says or reaches towards or looks at one of those things, you can then offer it and then say, keep singing about it, right? Oh, my baby's eating a little plum. My baby's eating a little plum. Me and my baby are eating a plum. We're eating a plum today, right? And you can eat some plum and she can eat some plum. And even if she's not eating the plum and you're just showing how you're eating the plum, like how exciting. And what a much more interactive and fun way to be sitting at the table and eating than just, getting frustrated but your child's not eating that darn plum, like, ugh, right? So if we are using music and using our voice and using that interaction to make something more interesting, to engage and to play, then we are probably more likely to have the attention and keep that attention of our little ones for a longer period of time and to have fun, right? So I don't know, any questions about that? What else could we do? We could use Skip to My Lou in a dressing routine, right? Changing, what do we do? Oh, let's say you hold up two items of clothing, right? Let's see, do we want to take this? Can you do an example for our diaper changes, says Rebecca. I need to distract him. Yes, oh my gosh, yes, let's do that. Okay, so sometimes what I like to do is just have a few little preferred objects or items with me around diaper changes, and whether that's something that makes a sound or is like visually interesting to look at or whatever it is. My personal is an egg shaker, and if you don't have an egg shaker, you can have a homemade shaker, right? Whether it's like a poster tube of some sort of rattle or something else that makes noise, right? This is one of the favorites. Oh my gosh, it's like the favorite thing. But so, I mean, if you're just like talking about what your baby's doing with it, right? Or, so let's think, let's use, say, wheels on the bus for a diaper routine. Okay, so, how does it go again? The baby on the bus goes, ha, 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 ha. Ha, 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 the baby on the bus, and then just mimic the sound that your child is making. Or you can, say you have a picture or a little, like I found these little cards at like a thrift store years ago, but it's like these little cards of animals, and they're really fun. They're super retro and cute. But like using those or just using images that you've printed out from like a web search. And then this is one of my like go-to things is just attaching them to a piece of cardboard. And then just like giving a choice. And then you can say what you're going to sing about, right? The animals on the bus, they make some sounds, right? This is just to distract. Okay, so you can also sing about the animal sounds, right? Have them pick, and then they hold on to one of those things while you're frantically changing the diaper, right? Or you can sing about the diaper. You can sing about how your child is gonna, his bottom's gonna be clean. Like, you can sing about anything. My baby's bum is gonna be clean, right? I mean, like we're getting a little funny here, but seriously, like it doesn't have to be about anything in particular. Does that answer your question, Rebecca? Like, I hope that's helpful, because it's really just at that point, like it's about distraction. It's about like singing about or telling about something that's going to happen, right? Stuff like that. So, oh, good. I'm getting a lot of thumbs ups and happy faces. So, that's great. So, I want to move on unless anyone has, oh, we were going to do like a Christmas song. What Christmas song do we want to sing, guys? You tell me, and then we can actually end with that if we want to. But I want to show you a few of the sort of play materials that I like to use that are, you know, already probably in your home. So I'm going to start with a few that I already showed you. A homemade rattle. You can make musical instruments out of almost anything. And I have a lot on my blog, right? I have like, if you search for DIY instruments, you can find under the like blog music section, you can find a ton of DIY instruments, of activities using music and stuff like that. Like a lot of good stuff. And then also on my I have like a Pinterest board all about DIY instruments. So if you follow me on Pinterest, it's just pinterest.com/strengthenwords. I have a bunch of boards that because we all know Pinterest can get really overwhelming. So I like to keep a collection there of things that I like to use or have or make, and that, you know, the stuff that's like not overwhelming. So, okay, so here is one example of like a super simple instrument. I love this, right? It's just a poster tube. Inside, I have no idea if I just put like beans or rice or lentils or whatever it is, but you know, obviously you're going to make sure that number one, you are supervising your child, and number two, that it is totally closed, right? Anytime you make an instrument, you want to make sure that it is safe. Another thing that I like to use for an instrument, any kind of bowl, right? And you can have drums that are different timbres, you can say, right? This kind of a drum makes an interesting sound as opposed to a cardboard box, which also is a drum, but makes a very, very different kind of sound, right? And then another kind of bowl, say you have a plastic bowl, right, versus a metal bowl. Those kinds of things are wonderful things for our children to just sort of tap on and keep the beat from, right? Okay, so these are great musical instruments. But, you know, babies love those like crinkly books and crinkly toys. But the hack that I like to share with people is an empty one of these, right? A wipes container. That's why your child always wants to steal the wipes, right? Because it makes that great sound. And then actually like putting inside things like a scarf or a sock or whatever it is, and helping them instead of the wipes, right? Helping them actually to grasp or use their pincer grasp to take things out. Like what a fun activity, and what, you know, 8-9-month-old infant doesn't want to take things out and sometimes put things back in, right? Put in, take out, put in, take out. That's like all day my kid could do this, right? So, and then when you're developing that pincer grasp or the grabbing, and you're sort of evolving into a pincer, which is this, right? Which is something that young children need eventually to start to write and hold utensils and all of those things, right? These are sort of the early developing skills that we see motorically that we can engage in from very early with very simple materials, right? Okay, what's another one? Another one that I like to share is a mirror. Whether it's something like this or, you know, a wall mirror, or something like IKEA has those sticky mirrors that you can stick to any surface. My favorite thing was having those mirrors on the wall next to my child's changing station. My big boy, we did that next to his like diaper changing area. And that, Rebecca, is what saved me. As far as diaper changes, like the distraction of him simply being able to look at his feet was like, wow, what an amazing thing. And we could play peekaboo. We could, you know, use his diaper or his clothes to hide him or hide me in the mirror. And that was like, what a great way when he's starting to lose it to bring him back, right? And you can make peekaboo into a wonderful musical song, right? Pika, 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 boo! Pika, 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 boo! And that's Skip to My Lou, right? So again, thinking outside the box. I'm just going to show you, I just have like one more, I was going to bring in, but I think I forgot. I can just use mine. My finger puppets are great. Any puppet is great. I have a few puppets on my website, DIY puppets, but one of my favorite puppet materials is either a dishwashing glove or a sock, right? You don't need a sock puppet. You don't need a finger puppet. You just need a sock. And whether that's my sock or my child's sock, like your child's sock, having an extra pair of socks at all times, you know, in your backpack is probably a nice thing to have. But that's a great thing to just pull out, like when you're waiting for the bus or the tube or the metro, or when you're in the car, if you have someone sitting in the back seat of the car, right? The car is hard because it's just not always a pleasant experience. But having things like that in your arsenal of your diaper bag, like an extra pair of socks, both for warming the feet and for finger puppet play, is one of my favorite things to have. I also often bring an egg shaker because it's just a great thing. It's an easy thing for a baby to mouth. It is, you know, it makes lots of wonderful noise, but it's not loud. It's pretty quiet. So in a public place, it's not a horrible thing to have around. So that's really what I got for you guys. I would love to answer just a couple questions. I'm here, you know, for a few more minutes. If you guys have any questions, I'm happy to answer. I just want to remind again that I have, prices are going up on that community lab, which is my membership community, which gives access to online music classes where we do, you know, a ton of music all together and we can meet live, but you can also watch the replay of all of these things, right? I know that we're very busy as parents and we're not always, you know, available for live opportunities, but the beauty of that community lab is that it's not only sort of this option for live engagement, but it's also a library of resources. So it's something that you can, you know, you can just kind of go in, pick and choose what you want from it and feel like it's sort of an activity buffet, right? Which is actually why I call it the lab. In my head, that there's sort of twofold, right? It stands for learning activity buffet, which is like the idea that we can just like go in and get like a bite-sized morsel to sort of snack on, to grab, to use when we need it. But it's also a lab in the sense of like, we are all experimenting. We don't know as parents what the heck we're doing. It's a grand experiment. Parenthood is sort of, I like to say it's like the great equalizer, right? Because we are, no matter where we come from, who we are, what color, what religion, what culture, what languages we speak, we are all, when we become parents, like at the same level. We are reduced to like very vulnerable, wide-eyed people who have really no idea what we're doing. And I think it's funny because we live in this age of like over so much information, but it's so hard to now pare it back to be like, I just need the stuff that I need, that I can trust and that I can value. And I need a community of people that I actually like and who respect me, and that it's not about this sort of divisive, like, well, you know, breastfeeding versus bottle feeding and sleep training versus co-sleeping. Like, that's not what parenthood is about. Parenthood in those early days is about building each other up, finding communities of support, and getting access to information that works for us at the time that we need it, right? That is what parenthood should be about. And that is what I'm trying to create with Strength in Words. And somebody liked that. So I'm glad to hear that I'm not the only one that thinks that this is important, right? Like, that is why I have created what I'm creating. And that's it, right? I mean, what else is there? We want parent support, co-parent support. We want access to professionals. We want access to information, to evidence-based information that's, developmentally appropriate. That means that is the same. I mean, right? This is about how humans develop. This is not about, this parenting philosophy versus that parenting philosophy. I mean, yes, like, you can find on the internet anything that you want to support what you think is correct, right? To support your claim, like, that's fine, go ahead. But I'm talking about research-based information and ideas that really do support what we're trying to do. And all of the research says that it is the basic stuff, right? It's going back to basics, going low tech, going into using cardboard boxes, right? Because that's what our babies are going to be playing with anyway, right? I mean, how much money have you or your friends or family spent on crappy toys, honestly, that make a lot of sound and that your child maybe plays with for like 2 seconds, right? A lot. And that's not how our children learn. Our children learn through observation, imitation, and interaction. And those opportunities, when we give opportunity to do that, whether it is, for an hour, for 5 minutes, each and every day, that's how our children learn, and that's how they are supported in all areas, whether it's cognitive development, communication development, motor or sensory development, and social and emotional development. That is how our children learn. So again, my community lab, that's what I try to provide. It's sort of this like all-in-one resource that's not one size fits all. It's about giving access to professionals, to each other. It's about simplifying, right? You don't have to go and find a music class and a workshop to attend and developmental curriculum that you can purchase. It's all right there. And it's all like very easy to access. And Brooke is one of my members, and she can tell you that she literally sits with her phone and can like write and attend events and look at stuff and read stuff and get what she wants to in 5 minutes time, or however much time she wants to put into it. So I think right now, and I can speak to that as a new mom, a seasoned new mom, but a new mom all the same, like that's what I want. So I'm sure there are other people who value that too. So even if that's not something that you are, ready to commit to, please spread the word, because this is valuable stuff. This is important stuff. So again, if you guys have any questions, I want to address your questions. We had somebody wanting to learn a Christmas song, right? Rena wanted to learn a Christmas song. Anybody want to suggest one? If we want to, we can end the session with that today. One of my favorite ones is sort of a less traditional one. It's called the Coventry Carol. Has anyone heard of that one? It's, I'll sing it for you. Okay, ready? It goes, Lule, lule, the little tiny child. Bye, bye, lule, lule. Lule, lule, the little tiny child. Bye, bye, lule, lule. Oh, sister, toddlers do? How may we do for to preserve this day? A poor young thing for whom we do sing. Bye bye lule, lule. All right, so that's my personal favorite Christmas carol. Brooke suggested "Oh Christmas Tree." Perfect, let's do it. Yeah, because Everly wants to touch the Christmas tree, so you can sing about it. I don't remember all of the words, so I'm going to give you an example right now of how you can substitute some words. Okay. Oh Christmas tree, look at it now, it's right in front of you. Oh Christmas tree, I see the green pine needles. Look at that, I see a snowflake. Look at that, it's a nutcracker. Oh Christmas tree, we decorated it together. All right, so right there, like we're talking about what we see. We're talking about what we did together. We are talking about what it looks like. We could add in how it smells, right? All of these things we could do. Anybody else have one to suggest? Doesn't have to be a Christmas carol. It could be any other song. Any other song ideas for us today? And then if you guys don't have any other questions, we can just sort of wrap it up. Okay, well, this has been so fun. We should do this more often, huh? Would anybody come back for another one of these if I did it again? I really enjoyed myself. That was fun. And I'm going to post this also probably on my website so people can watch the replay. Yay, somebody said yes, please. Awesome. All right, well, I'm just going to start and we'll sing our goodbye song and we'll move on with our day. But thanks you guys so much. It was you, Brooke, would come back to one of these. Awesome. Thanks for coming, you guys. So, thanks for being here. See you later. What will you do the rest of your day? Thanks, Rebecca. Awesome. I'd love that. Jill, thank you. Thanks for coming. Goodbye, Jill. Goodbye, Rebecca. Goodbye, Brooke. Goodbye, Fiona. Goodbye, Leah. Goodbye, Rena. Goodbye, everyone. See you next time. We laughed and we played. We're getting very clever. This is what counts, being here together. Thanks so much, everybody. Oh, it was so nice to have you. And don't forget, if you haven't signed up for Strength in Words Weekly, do that today. That's that free version of sort of the weekly membership where you get just weekly information based on your child's age of simple ideas for, music and sensory and early literacy, and then visual ideas to help support your baby. And it's been great. So thanks, everybody, and have a wonderful day. Have a good one. Bye.